The most powerful AI companies in the world are locked in an arms race, and Google just handed its best weapon to anyone with an internet connection. That's not a sign of weakness. It might actually be the whole strategy. Gemma 4 is Google's latest family of open-weight AI models. Open-weight means the actual numerical parameters, the billions of learned values that make the model think, are publicly released. You can download them, run them on your laptop, modify them, build a product with them. No API bills. No rate limits. No permission slip required. This drops Gemma 4 into an increasingly crowded conversation with Meta's Llama models, Mistral, and a growing wave of open alternatives to the locked vaults of GPT-4 and Claude. The AI world has quietly split into two civilizations, those who share the recipe, and those who only sell the cake. Think of closed AI models like a vending machine. Fast, convenient, and completely opaque about what's inside. Open models are more like a chemistry lab. Slightly messy, but you can swap out the reagents, run the reactions backward, and eventually make something the vending machine could never dream of or would charge you $12 for. Gemma 4 arrives with multimodal capabilities, meaning it can process text, images, and more, packed into surprisingly efficient model sizes. Google has refined the architecture to squeeze more capability into fewer parameters. This matters enormously when you're trying to run AI on a phone, a laptop, or a server that isn't cooled by a glacier. So why would Google, a company with a perfectly functional cloud AI business, hand out its technology for free? The cynical answer and the generous answer are, in this case, identical ecosystems. When millions of developers build on Gemma, they build with Google's tools, Google's infrastructure, and Google's assumptions baked into the foundation. Altruism and market capture look exactly the same from the outside. There's also a second-order effect that rarely gets discussed. When open models improve, closed model companies are forced to accelerate. The public release of Llama 2 reshaped the whole industry's roadmap. Gemma 4 is Google placing a calculated bet that it can win a race it just made harder for everyone, including itself. The real story of Gemma 4 isn't a product launch. It's a vote on where AI power is supposed to live. In data centers billing by the token? Or distributed across devices, research labs, and communities that no single company will ever fully control? Every open model releases a small, irreversible shift toward the second answer. And those shifts are compounding faster than anyone predicted. Pulled back in the shape of this moment is clear: Google didn't open source Gemma 4 out of generosity, and it didn't do it out of desperation. It did it because the MathWorks ecosystems compound, developers are loyal to the ground they build on, and every model that runs on Google's assumptions is a vote cast before the ballot even opens. Open-weight models are shifting where AI capability lives, from a handful of server farms billing by the token to a sprawling, ungovernable network of labs, phones, and curious individuals. That shift is already irreversible. The only question left is who benefits from it most, and Google has a very specific answer in mind. What strikes us about Gemma 4 isn't the benchmark scores, it's the framing everyone quietly accepts. We call it open and treat that as the opposite of controlled, as if releasing weights and retaining the ecosystem, the tooling, and the cultural gravity around your infrastructure aren't three very effective forms of control. We're not saying Google is being dishonest. We're saying openness and capture aren't mutually exclusive, and we've decided to celebrate the first without asking hard questions about the second. So here's the one we keep coming back to: if the future of AI is open, but every open model pulls the center of gravity toward the same few companies that released it, is that actually a different future, or just a more comfortable looking version of the same one?